If you're an African American and you're honest, most places you go, you see healthy, thriving, flourishing families, with some exception. But to state that the world has...
Did you really snatch an 86-year-old woman's purse?
She wanted to hurt me. And the bitch don't even know me. I hope that they beat her ass. Some of the women in prison beat her ass every day for as long as she's in there.
Some people might say that's harsh.
Well, so what she did to me was even worse.
How do we define or how do we
I
explain
don't.
some of the erratic behaviors we see?
This morning, man. The reason why I come so early just to celebrate Martin Luther King's birthday, because I feel it's really good to come, because when Martin Luther King's birthday comes on January, I would say it's important to always come to celebrate their birthday.
If you're observant, you will begin to notice that many of our brothers and sisters are suffering from a mental infirmity.
Well, I was on the phone cooking me and my baby some breakfast, and she said, "Hey, something wrong, it's popping." I said, "What?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "No." So the girl come downstairs, she come out her apartment with her baby with no shoes on. I said, "Oh, girl, it's cold outside." She said, "Something ain't right." I said, "Oh, man." She said, "Oh, man, the building is on fire." I said, "No, what?" I got my 3 kids and we bounced out.
The person with the worst of these conditions are often held up to scorn and ridicule, but they obviously have a problem. But this meme characterizes the sentiment in the African American community. Every man is in pledge for his own self. But statistically, it is proven that there is an unseen hand making it twice as hard to be an African American child. Secrets like the value of melanin explain why an African American who isn't worth much alive is priceless, deceased. It's a Wild West true saying, you're worth more dead than alive. I embarked upon melanin as a Black History project, mainly for myself, to instill a little pride. What I found knocked the floor from beneath my feet. One scientific journal would say that melanin was an electric superconductor. Another would say that it was worthless for that point and that was not true. Another said that the atomic number of melanin was 666. Thus, it seemed that racism shrouded any truth about melanin. So I started to study the human body deeper. I found that melanin traveled from all over the body to concentrate around the pineal gland during the hours which one slept and while one dreamed. This is why the pineal gland had come to be known as the seat of the soul and the third eye of clairvoyance. All around melanin were electrical terms. It became clear to me that we as humans, African Americans, people who are highly melanated, we are electrical beings. From a resting position, we emitted 100 watts of power in a sustained output, almost 2,000 watts. Humans, in fact, both give off energy and absorb in energy in a cosmic ebb and flow. Energy that could be measured in an electrocardiogram, which measures your electronic heart signal. Or perhaps it could be measured in an electroencephalogram, which maps the electric activity of the brain. My Lord highlighted for me that it is the precious neuromelanin that scientists, doctors, and men are all about to possess. This is where the value that is 8 times greater than gold exists today. It is a neurotransmitting, electrical, alive substance. It could very well be the soul of a person. In times past, it was okay to walk along in ignorance, as there was a hindrance to the development of knowledge. But in these days, the knowledge and information is available to all. In the scripture in the book, the Lord said, I agree that you have a zeal for God, but your zeal is not based on knowledge. Based on this information, compilation, understanding, and research, we can no longer go simply and say that someone has not applied a chemical agent to our lives to thwart, to dwarf, to kill, and to cull our dynamic electrical abilities. In the simple molecular structure of melanin, we have a clue. It is that there is a polar opposite on the periodic table of elements for melanin. That polar opposite is fluoride. It is a negative ion that binds and arrests melanin and its free-flowing superconductor abilities. Did somebody put kryptonite in Superman's drinking cup? Dr. Frederick McKay did in the hopes of curing Colorado brown stain. But it seems that African Americans will bear the brunt of this policy, and it will continue to ruin, destroy, and rob lives of quality of life. The primary focus being mental health, but also cancers, hypertension, early and spontaneous health crisis caused by fluorosis.
Honest in Southfield, Michigan, and I found it a little disturbing to recently discover two articles published only this month about possible side effects of fluoride, particularly the fluoride in our water. This was a study done at Mount Sinai and published in Environmental International, and it talks about fluoride diminishing kidney and liver function in adolescents, and this is of concern. Now, we don't know which adolescents may be affected, if they already have somewhat compromised liver or kidney function, but nevertheless, this is something that is interesting and the first time I've read or heard about it. The second study, which may be even more pertinent, is, and this was published in August, Journal of the American Medical Association Pediatrics, and it's talking about pregnant women who drank more fluoridated water had children with 3 or 4 points lower by age 3 or 4 on their IQ. So lower IQ on children of women who drank more fluoridated water. Now, the American Dental Association says one study is not enough. Well, one study is not enough, and they need to do more. But certainly it raises concerns. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control has called fluoridation of water one of the top 10 most important advancements in public health in the 20th century. On the other hand, this is interesting, and I never knew this, but about 4 years ago, in 2015, the recommendation was lowered for the amount of fluoride in the water. It had been 0.7 to 1.2 parts per million. Now they don't want it more than 0.7 parts per million. So they're already starting to lower the amount of fluoride in the water. They may have whatever reasons they have, supposedly staining or fluorosis of the teeth, but who knows? You know, it's interesting, despite wide fluoridation, which has lowered the caries rate or the decay rate of individuals here in the United States significantly, it hasn't lowered it any more than in European countries that don't have fluoridated water but get their fluoride from dental products or local supplements, which to me is much more safe, or I think is much safer than ingesting the fluoride, which goes throughout your body and may affect your entire body.
Demonstrates a person to whom external stimulus, such as a lightning strike, opens a latent ability, such as premonition, psychic. The latent is defined as not active, resting in a potential state. I submit to you that there is more to you and that you have latent potential energy that is waiting to be awakened. Once you stop using fluoride, Drinking fluoride water and using fluoride-based products, your pineal gland will open and you will begin to sense and see things that should have been obvious otherwise. Drinking water loaded with fluoride causes a negatively charged ion hat to sit over the top of your neurotransmitted superconducted melanic organisms. Fluoride causes calcifications in the pineal gland, which are easily identifiable on the X-ray and are known as brain sand. Perhaps these are the stones Lucifer talked about when he asked Jesus to take these stones and make bread. Or perhaps it was when Pharaoh asked the Hebrew Israelites to make brick without straw. The idea is to make something from nothing. If you use fluoride, your mind is in a degenerative process and you are not the super dynamic, multifunctional organism that God created you to be. Stay tuned for part 2 of the fluoridation protocols.